Good evening and welcome to the third and final meeting this evening. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. And at this time we'll convene the City Council meeting for November the 5th. And in lieu of a roll call, I will ask each council member to introduce himself, beginning to my left.
Dave Mobley, City Council at Large.
John Jennings, District 4.
Dave Harrison, District 5.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney. Anthony Davidson, District 3.
Ed Bell, District 2.
Mary Huser Stewart, District 1.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and good evening, everyone. We'll circumvent the agenda, it'd be all right, to go down to special presentations. We have a special presentation this evening to Ed Marks. Ed recently resigned from the Parks Board, and we are here to recognize him for his dedicated service. Ed, could you step forward, please? Is there any Park Board members that would like to stand up with him? Council, this is from the City of Beech Grove, presented to Ed Marks, in appreciation for your dedication to the City of Beech Grove Parks Department, dated November the 5th, 2012. Ed served, I believe, 8 years on our Parks Board, and there was a lot done for the City of Beech Grove and the Parks Department. And Ed, we appreciate everything that you did for this city. Thank you very much.
Ed, congratulations.
Thank you.
Council, you've been presented with minutes from the previous meeting. The floor is now open for questions or comments concerning the minutes.
I have read and understand the minutes, and I would like to make a motion that we accept as written.
Second.
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This time I'll call Gary Lovelace up. Gary?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Once again, it's good to see you all.
Thank you, Gary.
How are you guys?
Doing well, thank you. And yourself?
Just fine, thank you. I want to talk real quickly about a couple of programs. This is a win against invasive plants. I don't know if you guys have that problem here, but you probably do. All the vines and all the things that are going on. And there's a special program that's affiliated with the Marion County Soil and Water Conservation District that moved from the south side here to the state fairgrounds. If you've been up there, it's a neat place on the north side of the fairgrounds, third floor, going up there to the Marion County Soil and Water Conservation. But this is invasive weeds. You may have them in your yard. There's the kudzu plant from down south. That's one program.
Has it reached the state of Indiana? Has kudzu reached Indiana?
It's a question I'm not prepared to answer. No?
Okay.
Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay. There are a bunch of invasives, and I don't know if that one, particular one has or not. Another program is Building the Bridge to Recovery, which is a mortgage saving program. If you're having issues with unemployment or you can't pay, this is a state program that will help keep you in your house. So that's a good program as well through the Indiana Housing and Community Development Association. Now, you guys have your own LEAF program down here, but I just brought this to remind me because we have our LEAF program going now, started today. What are you guys doing for leaf pickup?
That's a really good question. We are encouraging people to bag and mulch.
Okay. Well-
We have in the past vacuumed the leaves out.
Okay.
And we're trying to get away from that a little bit, but we heard from some people tonight that would like to see us continue that. So I think the director and I are probably going to have a chat.
Now, one of the things, the last item on here is compost. We compost our leaves. And if anybody wants free compost, you can go pick it up at Southside Landfill. Okay, so it's available to you. Now, most construction has slowed down, it's not stopped. When I think it's all done, then somebody says, hey, they just tore up my road and repaved it. So they're still surprising me. Do you guys have any issues for me that I need to take back? No? All right. I'll let you get to the rest of your third meeting. Oh, John?
I'm just curious about that kudzu. If you could get back to me with that kudzu
I'll
report,
find out for you, John.
I will take care of it myself. I
All
was
right.
teasing you.
Thanks. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Gary.
Committee reports, Greenscape Committee. Tim?
Good evening, Tim Latimer, Greenscape Commission. I just have a couple of quick things. At our last meeting, members discussed the Main Street project and our involvement as far as selecting trees. And we looked at the list. We have a couple of major concerns. A couple of the trees are on a prohibited list. And we're kind of concerned about the overall number of trees and planting beds and a few other things, and we will talk about those at our next meeting. Obviously, nothing has to be done at this point in time. Dave Miller is planning to, well, he's going to invite the landscape architect to one of our meetings, probably our January meeting. Other than that, Beth Berg has received the application for Tree City recertification, and we'll be working on that also at our next couple of meetings. That needs to be turned in, I think, by December 31st. So we'll have a couple of meetings to get that done before that is due. And that's all I have for you. Our next meeting is November 19th, 6 o'clock, Hornet Park Community Center. As always, the public is welcome. Do you have anything for me? Okay,
Thanks, Tim.
thank you.
Anyone here from the Redevelopment Commission?
How you doing? Joe Griffin, Redevelopment Commission. I wasn't exactly ready to give a report tonight, but I'll wing it here. I'm told I'm good at that kind of stuff. I won't mention any names.
Who told you that?
I don't want to get John mad at me. So, right now, we're in the process of working on the budget. Each person's got a little something to do, and trying to get some information to get a budget down for a redevelopment committee. There are several different little projects going on, none of which really have any big final issues. Are still in the state of suspension, let's say, trying to figure out what's going on. Redevelopment Council did pay for the alleyways, is what I found out, that just got redone. We did do that. Also a question to the council that I found out the last one, when will we be having our live feeds going? I mean, that came out in the bond fund, so sooner the better would be nice, because that would be great to have that stuff, since the money was already appropriated out of the bonds, so people at home can watch live. I was at your last council meeting, I was a little late getting home and stuff, and I couldn't make it here, so I went to turn on TV and it wasn't on. So that'd be a great little tool and everything else that we could find out on too. That would be nice to have. After all, you appropriated money for, so let's get the folks there. I'd love to see a crowd like this at the Redevelopment Council too. Folks, come to the RDC meetings. It is your input. It is your RDC. It is your thing to do. Please come. Let's have standing room only. because we do have a lot to do. And also, don't forget to vote tomorrow. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Public Safety Committee.
Mayor and Council, good evening. Public Safety Committee, we have a community meeting scheduled at the Community Center on December 4th at 6:30. The last one was held the last week of October. It was a very nice success. We had about 10 people attend. I would encourage everyone to come out. It's a good time. You can speak to the police chief, fire chief, see other people in the community, and it's a good time to just ask questions. So we try to present some good information to the community. We have 2 new members, Phyllis Kendall and Veronica Justice. Veronica's here this evening, attending. During the meeting, we discussed several items of importance. One issue that I will bring to your attention now, we were discussing about developing an ordinance to have numbering on garages and the alleyways. And one of the concerns was how much would it cost for a regular homeowner just to get 3-inch reflective lettering. So what we decided to do is we're going to reach out to several community organizers, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, the Explorer program, and also to Lowe's, and kind of research and see if we can have some community involvement to undertake this project, decrease, to minimize any cost to homeowners, and to actually get the job done. So trying to do a little background work and some forethought to have everything in place before we present this to the council. And lastly, Chief Schwartz wanted to speak about Shop for Tots.
Thank you, Rob.
One of the programs that the police department's been doing it for many, many years is Shop with a Cop. You've probably heard about it locally and with some of the other agencies, Metro and the Sheriff's Department. And again, it's going to happen, and we're going to try to change the program a little bit this year to get more kids presents and clothing. I think the last few years we've been limited with our shoppers to around 35 kids. Now we're going to try to increase it to 50. And a lot of this is recommended through the schools. They're the ones that pick the kids, and then information is given to the police, and then we do the shopping for them. So hopefully we'll be able to increase the kids that we shop for this year.
Questions for the chief? If not, thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
And last is the clerk distributed a financial report to you. If you have questions or comments. It was not in your packet. It was distributed separately. If not, we'll move to public comment. There's 3 people signed up to speak. First one's Ron Luzon. Ron, you want to speak again? Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Ron Luzon. Timber Grove Way is where I live. I talked to the board earlier this evening about leaf pickup and how important I feel it is to our community. And I addressed that the last meeting there was that October 1st, I believe, I watched a meeting on the web page, which is a good resource. I want to touch on that. For me, it's easier for me to go back and watch it on the web page because I can stop and go away for a while because they are quite boring at times. So I'll skip through some parts. But leaf pickup is my big concern tonight is that I live in a neighborhood that has a lot of trees. And we have pretty good sized yards. So we do utilize the LEAF program. And what I want to clarify is on the October 1st, it was brought up about changing people's behavior with the LEAF pickup, trying to put them in the totes and bag them and discard them that way. But what I don't want to see happen is that program go away, because that program has been essential to this community for many years. If a program happens to go away, I'd like to see some type of study be done. What it actually costs the program for a LEAF program for the year, for the fiscal year. What's the savings, what's the impact of the budget that the LEAF program actually has to, what it does provide for the city. Plus you have to take into consideration that if we're bagging leaves now, that's more tonnage that's going onto our new vehicles, and we're going to have to process them and actually be paid for processing. And it's kind of a coincidence that the gentleman from the city, the representative from the city, talked about the mulch program that they're initiating. Well, I've used our mulch program right off of Ritter for many years. I use it as a good base, then I put down the better mulch on top. So that is part of our LEAF program. We vacuum them up, they take them over to Ritter Avenue and discard them there, and over time they decompose and they actually become mulch. So instead of actually going there rotting in our mulch pile, we're actually going to have to pay to remove them. So I want you to understand you got two impacts. What the program costs now and what it may cost in the future with those trucks actually having to haul them off. You got more fuel costs, more trips, and more I'm going to say more manpower, but you're going to have some costs associated with that. And I just don't want, as a citizen, for the unique LEAF service to go away. It is kind of special that we have it. And I know, I talked to the board earlier. I think they understood our concerns. And I just want the people to understand that there was a misunderstanding, because I talked to several people that just assumed it went away. But if you read the tag, it's suggested. It says it's suggesting LEAF pickup versus that it was going away. What I want is, I would like to know the wishes of that board. Is it the wish of that program to simply go away? And if so, I want to know what the impact's going to be on the other side, the cause and effect. Some of the cause and effects are kind of the obvious. If you don't have a seasonal LEAF pickup from whatever time frame it is, I know it ends in December, people are going to go out the way it is now. You go out, you get your leaves, you take them to the curb, and they're picked up. But if that simply goes away, people are not going to be as aggressive as keeping their yards clean. So it's simply going to blow into the street, and there's the cause and effect is it's going to go in the sewer system. Nobody's going to take claim of them if it goes in the street or if it blows in the neighbor's yard. And I even had a couple of people that live along the creek that said, I'll just simply rake them or blow them into the creek. Well, cause and effect. So I want to, before we do it with any program, I want to see what that cause and effect is going to be, budget-wise, cost to the city to get rid of these leaves versus let them just decompose and we can use them as a city. So I know there's other people who want to talk about it tonight, but I will kind of pursue it. I would like to talk with the board about it on another occasion, but I want you guys to be aware of this, that it's budgeted for 2013. I don't believe, I watched a couple weeks ago, that I don't see where it was ever removed yet. And I just simply don't want to just simply go away without the board being aware of this, because you're going to be the first ones we call about it. So I just want to let you know that it's out there. And I want people to realize that program is active, it is in place, and these guys do a fine job. And as far as I'm concerned as a citizen right now, it has not been removed from the budget for next year. Is that correct?
No, the budget has increased, sanitation budget has increased from 2012 to next year.
Okay.
But it's not because of that, it's because the increased cost of treat wastewater.
Great. Okay. Well, I just want to make sure it doesn't simply go away. All right. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Next, John Morgan. John?
John Morgan, 1415 Main. Got a request, actually. You know where I live, Dennis, on the north side of the park there. Gets to be kind of an issue when we have snow, people parking in that alley to let the kids, rather than use the parking lot at the bottom of the hill, they like to park in the alley. Have to get out gather everybody up, move their cars, so we can get in and out of our driveways. There's 3, sometimes 4 homes on that out section of alley that use that section. What I'd like to request is, if nothing else, some temporary no parking signs to try and get people to quit parking in the alley. Because if I go to come out of my driveway, I can't even get out until I go round up everybody that's parked there with the kids sledding. Then I leave, I come back, and it's full again. So now I gotta park on 15th Street, go round up all these people again. And it'd just be kind of nice if it was just, I mean, like I say, we don't have any issues during the summer, because nobody uses that hill hardly. But when the snow comes, it gets to be a nightmare down there. So I'd just like, I wasn't sure if I needed to address the council or the Board of Works or who would.
The council would have to probably do it by ordinance.
Just if nothing else, some temporary signage down there to try and discourage people from parking in the alley so we can use our driveways.
You'd also mentioned a directional change for traffic.
That was when I lived down in the other block. Because now I don't have the issue as much as I did in the other house with that, is the people at 17th Street, when they come north on 17th, if the light's red, they'll turn there in the alley, go to 16th or 15th to catch Main and go the other way. And we'd kind of talked to some of the other people, and you know, I never did get a consensus on it about making that 15th to 17th one-way west. And that would, number one, it'd cut down on traffic. You got a daycare there for one thing, and it, you know, it might alleviate some of the, because the alley where I lived is demolished. It's just tore up from the traffic, where I used to live, I should say. And it would help, you know, if you ever got to the point that you repaved them, it would, you know, it would decrease the traffic tremendously. But my main concern tonight was making a request, maybe for, if nothing else, some type of temporary no parking signs there from 15th towards 13th Street, so we can use our driveways.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a couple of comments,
Oh, I'm sorry.
John, I have a couple of comments.
Sure.
Next to that daycare, we had talked previously about putting a speed hump there.
Sam Merle put one in probably, gosh, at least 6 years ago.
And that's
The only problem with it is, it's not really a speed bump.
No.
If you've ever driven over it, it's just kind of a flop, flop thing.
And that was at the request of the fire department and the police department. They didn't want any obstruction, any more obstruction in that. And again, that's going back about 6 years.
Well, my big concern, really, living in the location I do, is with Park Hill.
So
15.
with that parking, can we put up a do not block driveways sign as opposed to a non-park?
Well, it's a one-lane alley. It's not like it is on the west side of 15th Street. You can actually get 2 cars through there. Our section of alley is basically one lane. I mean, when the
And it dead ends at the
Packer
funeral home,
trucks
correct?
come in with the trash, they take up the whole alley.
And it dead ends at the funeral home?
Yes, it does.
Get with me after the meeting and we'll talk about it.
Okay. Thank you, John. Thank you, council.
There's already an ordinance that says you can't block parking in alleys. So,
There had to be.
yeah, you just have to call us and we'll come out and remove them and handle that way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last person to speak is Joe Griffin. Joe?
Joe Griffin again. Oh yeah, another thing I meant to say at the end of my little improvise was, not only public council come to, you know, because I do go to both of your monthly meetings. So please come to our single monthly meeting and give us some input, because we need you just as much as we need the public. Public, please come. My comment's going to be on the leaves. You know, we're talking that they're going to be environmentally hazardous. You're putting thousands of plastic bags into use. How's that any more environmentally better? To me, that's causing more environmental problems. You say mulching. I got a mulching mower, but guess what? I live in Beech Grove. It's old. They want to charge me 50 bucks for a bag. What do I need a bag for? They said, for your leaves for leaf time. I said, I live in Beech Grove. I kept my 50 bucks in my pocket. I think most people did. So, you know, we have the highest taxes in Marion County. And what are we going to do? We're going to have a service. We're going to go from services to a service. You know, sometimes you got, in retail business, you got lost leaders. We need conveniences, especially for the amount of money that we're paying. The highest taxes in Marion County. And we're almost down to a service. Growing up here, we had a bunch of services. We're getting taken down to a service almost, it seems like. Our services we're finding out the privileges. When we used to live here, we thought them as rights. You could go out and say, yeah, I live in the Grove, I don't have to worry about that. It was a service. It was a right. I can remember being little and burning them in the thing, in the ditch. Then they came up with this plan. You know, you don't have to put them on the curb. What about the auction? How much money did you guys get out of the auction? Can't you use that money to replace what we need replaced? You know, how about that? You know, you have to look past that. You're trying to go after the upscale people. And you know something? We'd be the only one in Marion County that does that. But did you guys read the article about leaf pickup in the Indianapolis Star? And this was on October 30th, 2012. Greenfield, Noblesville, Zionsville, Danville, Plainfield, Bargersville, and Greenwood all pick up leaves. You just break them down to the edge. They ask you, please don't put them in the street, and they will take care of the rest from there. You know, I don't have anything. I do a lot of walking through Beech Grove with my dog, and I'm telling you what, a lot of people don't know this. And there's leaves out in the street. What am I going to do? My leaves will be on the street. Police come pick them up. You know, is there a resolution or an ordinance in place that states that you will pick these up? Because I remember there was a big hassle going on when Marion County jumped down on burning of the leaves. And Beech Grove come up with this. Is there a resolution in place? Let me ask you that. Can there be a resolution ordinance in place because this came about? If nothing else, what we learned out of last administrations, it's been going on for so long, and it's been implied, it is. So if it's been implied for this long, is what we learned from the last administration, then it is. And I'm telling you what, it's been going on since I think I was 4, and I'm almost 54 now. You know, let's don't go down to a service. I am on the RDC. This won't help redevelopment. This won't help bring in economic growth. Remember, we used to be the only one in Marion County that had this. Sometimes you got to have lost leaders. We are paying the highest taxes in Marion County. The highest, bar none. Don't take us down to a service. We need to turn things around. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
That concludes the public comment, special presentations. Trent Newport. Trent's here to talk about the Main Street update and then ADA transition plan. You want to do the Main Street first, Trent?
I sure can. Trent Newport with Crossroad Engineers. As you folks probably know, we had our letting go through the NDOT process. That was in late September. So we do have NDOT. It took about 30-45 days to approve our contractor. The winning contractor was Great X. They do have some subcontractors as well, but they're all around the Marion County area. We've had several meetings with them, and they've got all their documents in order, but it looks like that they're going to probably not start until after the first of the year. They're waiting on Citizens Water to get out of their way with the water construction. So we're kind of talking to them now about schedule. If it's a mild winter, I anticipate that they would start maybe as early as February 1. And we'll start again, like we've always said, down at the bridge and close from the bridge to 8th and tear it out and replace it. And then we're looking at phasing east of there. And I've told you before, and we had a meeting, a public meeting, where we kind of went over the phasing that we suggested. I think that currently the contractor is going to come back and maybe suggest some changing to that phasing. It'll still go from the bridge to the east, but it could be, let's try to do more than 2 blocks at a time, something like that. The same end date would apply, but it would just be a change in how they go about that. It has to be approved by NDOT and by the city, but their goal is still to get done in 2013. And of course, a lot of that is weather dependent. We do have a field office already in place, basically through the contract. The contractor has to provide a field office for me to have a full-time person on the job. We're not on the job full-time because they haven't started, but we do have a field office set up, and my guy, his name is Lance, he's going to be going door to door here within the next week of the business owners down on Main Street to talk to them. And we've gotten a lot of feedback with some contact information, but not all of them, so we're basically going to go door to door, collect information about deliveries, about contact information, hours of operation, all that kind of stuff, so we can best work with them to try to minimize the impacts that we have. And we'll obviously then have email contacts to where we can send updates on the schedule and all the things that we don't quite know yet, but we'll be figuring out in the next probably 4 to 6 weeks. So there's going to be a lot more information. We will keep that all posted on our website, which you'll have a link from the Beech Grove website to ours. I'm not sure if that's in place yet, but I do know that our website has all the information for the Beech Grove Main Street project. We just put up this week a link to the Channel 13 story that was done. Some of you may have seen. So there's a link on our website for that, and we'll continue to update it so everybody is aware. Talk about where the field office is, and then our field office, as you know, we're a Beech Grove business, and we have an office here in the city, but we felt it important to be right on Main Street, to where if we have an issue with a business owner and they really need a resolution, they know right where to go. They can walk right down the street, go find Lance, and take care of the issue. So we will be on site. Be happy to answer any questions. I think I've covered most everything, but I may be missing a couple of things.
Council have questions for Trent concerning Main Street?
No, sir.
I guess, one more thing, and this is the water. The water project is going on ahead of, and other utilities have moved out of the way as well, but their work has been much less substantial. The water main is a large project because it goes end to end, and it's replacing that main. They're basically handling all that coordination. We're staying involved just to the point where we're trying to make sure that they do handle it with the residents and businesses, making sure they're communicating. If there is any concerns, we'd like to know about it so that we can go back through the channels and get things changed. I will say that the mayor had some concerns about, safety and maintenance of traffic. We tried to address that with those citizens and their contractor last week. I hope within the last few days even you've seen an improvement to where they're basically keeping Main Street open for the most part. And then they're going to, they'll be moving traffic around here and there, but for the most part it should stay open as they complete that work. They said at the latest February 1 would be their completion date for Citizens Water to be done, but they're thinking that could even be by the end of the year.
Questions for Trent? All right, we'll move over to ADA transition.
Okay, that program or that report is due by the end of the year. I think you've got some ordinances on your plate tonight that are an important part of that process. You have, in front of you to name an ADA coordinator, and that's a key part for us to gather information. We've met with Joe a couple times already to talk about that process and try to get the word out to the community. We'd like to see flyers around. We'd like to see something on the website to try to communicate with people and kind of create an open forum where people can say, here, I have an issue, I can't get from my house safely to the school or the grocery store or whatever. Our goal is to prioritize projects that will help handicapped people to get through public streets, public buildings, intersections, all those kind of things. It's not a funded program, it's a report that says, here's the priorities. Now going forward, here's the things that you should focus on first as you use this money that you try to appropriate in the future. Obviously, we are doing some things like the Main Street project that are going to bring that entire corridor up to ADA standards immediately when it's done because it's a federal project. So we will talk about those things, but we're really hoping that Joe getting into his position can create some feedback through the community to help us decide in this final report, which is due at the end of the year, where should our priorities be.
And we're going to hear 5 resolutions tonight concerning ADA that the council will hear. And if you want to comment on them when they come up, or you're welcome to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I'll surely be here for questions as we address those. Those are all ones that are suggested through typical programs to try to put in place a system that is not just for this report, but years forward. I mean, this is a position that you should have from here going on. You know, Joe said he would hold it for 30 to 40 years, but no longer than that. So there'll have to be somebody behind him after that, I'm sure.
Clear that up, Mr. Mayor.
Trent, you want to look at these when we go through them?
Sure.
Joe, do you want to comment on the transition plan and your involvement so far?
And introduce yourself so that everybody out there
Sure.
knows who you are, because he's referred to you as Joe 3 times. I want to make sure everybody in the home audience knows exactly who we're talking about.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate it. I'm Joe Prindle, live at 711 Killian Drive, been not a lifelong Beech Grove member, but I've been here since '74. So I used to sit in one of those chairs up there. My wife's on the school board, and she's running again this time. So we've been actively involved in Beech Grove for years and years. It's hard to believe that 45 years ago I was young and healthy, but I went to Vietnam and got wounded. And when people say, oh, that's only for handicapped people, you can be handicapped when you walk down the stairs tonight. It can happen in a minute. And I think I've got a pretty good idea of people I can help. And I think with Trent Newport and the city's help with using your website and getting online, and also have a telephone line for the people that don't have a computer, a lot of the senior citizens that don't have a computer, where they can call and leave a message where I can get back with them. But I believe I can help a lot in that area. And contrary to popular belief, Tom Hanna says it's a period of 40 years to be on the, I think I'll try for a year or two, and we'll go from there. But that's all I've got to say right now. But I just need to get some information out and get these things done and get the report in before the end of the year.
All right. Thanks, Joe.
Any questions?
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for your help.
I just want to comment, Joe, with your professionalism and the man that you are, I am so glad you stepped up to take care of this.
Thank you.
I know that it'll be handled well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Old business, there's none to bring forward this evening. Under new business, resolution number 12, 2012, adoption of ADA. I'll defer to the clerk to read the resolution.
Resolution number 12, 2012, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Beech Grove, Indiana, adopting the Americans with Disabilities Act, accessibility guidelines for standards for accessible design and guidelines for pedestrian facilities in the public right-of-way. Whereas the federal government enacted the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 to prevent discrimination of the physically and mentally disabled relating to employment and access to public facilities, and whereas Title II of the ADA requires that municipalities adopt the Americans with Disabilities Standards for accessible design that provide accessibility through proposed structural modifications to remove accessibility barriers, and whereas Title II of the ADA recommends that municipalities adopt the Americans with Disabilities Guidelines for pedestrian facilities in the public right-of-way that provide accessibility through proposed structural modifications to remove accessibility barriers, and whereas the United States Department of Justice recently modified the ADA standards for accessible design and the guidelines for pedestrian facilities in the public right-of-way in 2010 and 2012 respectively, And whereas the city of Beech Grove remains committed to the ADA and the elimination of barriers to public facilities. And now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Beech Grove hereby adopts the 2010 Americans with Disabilities Standards for Accessible Design and 2011 Guidelines for Pedestrian Facilities in the Public Right-of-Way.
You've heard the resolution, council. I ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pass this around for signing. Resolution number 13, 2012, ADA Transition Plan is up for approval. Defer to the clerk to read the resolution.
Resolution 13, 2012, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Beech Grove, Indiana, adopting the Americans with Disabilities Act Transition Plan for Pedestrian Facilities in the Public Right-of-Way. Whereas the federal government enacted the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 to prevent discrimination of physically and mentally disabled relating to employment and access to public facilities. And whereas Title II of the ADA requires that municipalities develop and adopt a transition plan that documents physical barriers to accessibility, propose structural modifications to remove those barriers, and a schedule to complete the modifications. And whereas the City of Beech Grove adopted Resolution number 12, 2012 pertaining to ADA standards for accessible design and guidelines for pedestrian facilities in the public right-of-way. And whereas the United States Department of Justice recently modified the ADA standards for accessible design and the guidelines for pedestrian facilities in the public right-of-way in 2010 and 2011, respectively. And whereas the City of Beech Grove remains committed to the ADA and elimination of barriers to public facilities. And whereas a transition plan for the pedestrian network has been prepared that reflects current municipality infrastructure and ADA design standards, referred to as the ADA Transition Plan Pedestrian Network. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Beech Grove hereby approves the ADA Transition Plan Pedestrian Network.
Heard the resolution, motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
Second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Resolution number 14, 2012, ADA Coordinator is up for hearing this evening. I'll defer to the Clerk Treasurer to read the resolution, please.
Resolution number 14, 2012, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Beech Grove, Indiana, adopting the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA Coordinator and Procedures. Whereas the federal government enacted the American with Disabilities Act of 1990, ADA, to prevent discrimination of physically and mentally disabled relating to employment and access to public facilities. And whereas in compliance with Title II of the ADA, the City of Beech Grove shall name an ADA coordinator. And whereas in compliance with Title II of the ADA, the City of Beech Grove shall adopt a grievance procedure for resolving complaints alleging violation of Title II of the ADA. And whereas in compliance with Title II of the ADA, the City of Beech Grove shall post the ADA coordinator's name, office address, and telephone number along the ADA notice and ADA grievance procedure on its website. Now, therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Beech Grove, Indiana, Joe Prindle is designated as the ADA coordinator for the city. The notice under the Americans with Disability Act, a copy of which is attached hereto, is adopted as a City of Beech Grove notice under the Americans with Disabilities Act. The City of Beech Grove grievance procedure under the Americans with Disabilities Act, a copy of which is attached hereto, is adopted as a grievance procedure for addressing complaints alleging discrimination of the basis of disability in the provision of services, activities, programs, or benefit by the City of Beech Grove. In compliance with federal and state laws as set forth above, the City Council resolves to post the required information regarding the ADA coordinator, notice under the Americans with Disabilities Act, and the City of Beech Grove grievance procedure under the Americans with Disabilities Act on its website and at such other locations as may be determined from time to time.
For the resolution, ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Resolution number 15, 2012, ADA grievance is up for approval this evening. I'll defer to the clerk treasurer to read the resolution, please.
Resolution number 15, 2012, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Beech Grove, Indiana, adopting the grievance procedure under the Americans with Disabilities Act. This grievance procedure is established to meet the requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 and may be used by anyone who wishes to file a complaint alleging discrimination on the basis of disability in the provision of services, activities, programs, or benefits by the City of Beech Grove. The city's personnel policy governs employment-related complaints of disability discrimination. The complaint should be in writing and contain information about the alleged discrimination, such as name, address, phone number, or complaint and location, date, and description of the problem. Alternative means of filing complaints, such as personal interviews or a tape recording of the complaint, will be made available for persons with disabilities upon request. The complaint should be submitted by the grievant and/or his or her designee as soon as possible, but no later than 60 calendar days after the alleged violation, to Joe Prindle, ADA Coordinator, 806 Main Street, Beech Grove, Indiana, 46107. Within 15 calendar days after receipt of the complaint, Joe Prindle or his designee will meet with the complainant to discuss the complaint and the possible resolutions. Within 15 calendar days of the meeting, Joe Prindle or his designee will respond in writing and where appropriate in a format accessible to the complainant, such as large print, braille, or audio tape. The response will explain the position of the City of Beech Grove and offer options for substantive resolution of the complaint. And if the response by Joe Prindle or his designee does not satisfactorily resolve the issue, the complainant and/or his or her designee may appeal the decision within 15 calendar days after receipt of the response to the Board of Public Works and Safety or their designee. Within 15 calendar days after receipt of the appeal, The Board of Public Works and Safety or their designee will meet with the complainant to discuss the complaint and possible resolutions. Within 15 calendar days after the meeting, the Board of Public Works and Safety or designee will respond in writing and where appropriate in a formable accessible to the complainant with final resolution of the complaint. All written complaints received by Joe Prendor or his designee, appeals to the Board of Public Works and Safety or their designee, and responses from these two offices will be retained by the City of Beech Grove for at least 3 years.
Heard resolution number 15, ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign, please. Resolution number 16, 2012, ADA notice of adoption is up for approval this evening. I'll defer to the clerk to read resolution number 16.
Resolution number 16, 2012, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Beech Grove, Indiana, adopting the notice under the Americans with Disability Act. In accordance with the requirements of Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, the City of Beech Grove will not discriminate against qualified individual with disabilities on the basis of disability in its services, programs, or activities. Employment. The City of Beech Grove does not discriminate on the basis of disability in its hiring or employment practices and complies with all regulation promulgated by the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission under Title I of the ADA. Effective communication. The City of Beech Grove will generally, upon request, provide appropriate aids and services leading to effective communication for qualified persons with disabilities so they can participate equally in the City of Beech Grove's programs, services, and activities, including qualified sign language interpreters, documents in Braille, and other ways of making information and communications accessible to people who have speech, hearing, or vision impairments. Modifications to policies and procedures. The City of Beech Grove will make all reasonable modifications to policies and programs to ensure that people with disabilities have an equal opportunity to enjoy all of its programs, services, and activities. For example, individuals with service animals are welcome in the City of Beech Grove offices, even where pets are generally prohibited. Anyone who requires an auxiliary aid or service for effective communication or a modification of policies or procedures to participate in a program, service, or activity of the City of Beech Grove should contact the office of Joe Prendle, ADA Coordinator, 806 Main Street, Beech Grove, Indiana, 46107. Telephone number 784-3003 as soon as possible, but no later than 48 hours before the scheduled event. The ADA does not require the City of Beech Grove to take any action that would fundamentally alter the nature of its programs or services or impose an undue financial or administrative burden. Complaints that a program, service, or activity of the City of Beech Grove is not accessible to persons with disabilities should be directed to Joe Prendle, ADA Coordinator, Joe Prendle, Beech Grove, Indiana, 46107, 784-3003. The City of Beech Grove will not place a surcharge on a particular individual with a disability or any group of individuals with disabilities to cover the cost of providing auxiliary aids, services, or reasonable modifications of policy, such as retrieving items from locations that are open to the public but are not accessible to persons who use wheelchairs.
Heard resolution number 16. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
Second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Yes, Trent?
like to say, one of the first things we're going to do is set up something on the website, and I'm going to help Ms. Prindle out by working with that. I would like to have a copy of these emailed to me if I can, that are signed, because I'll attach them to the website, so these are there, all the ordinances are in place, people can go see exactly what they need to do and what the process is. Who would
I'll see that you get them.
Okay, who would I coordinate as far as kind of setting up a link or a part of the website?
Myself.
Okay.
Had to be put on our city website.
Right.
And I will as well put these on the city website
Okay.
also.
You know how we have all the tabs, government and so forth, I think probably ADA coordinator will probably need to.
Right, I think we can probably set up one whole page with nothing
Great.
but ADA compliance.
Great.
And coordinator and all the resolutions that we
Okay.
pass this evening.
Thank you.
Gee, I didn't think I'd hear my name that much tonight.
Could you introduce yourself, please?
I'm the guy they're going to call and complain to, which is fine. Just a brief story, I'll make it quick, because I know you don't want these meetings to drag out. In '69, when I was, or 1970, I was given disability, but I tried to go to work, and I went to Chevrolet, Ford, Chrysler, Railroad. Nobody touched me. Went to Sears, nobody would even do this. But now, like laws like this in place, if a person can do the job, and as you know, you've seen me work somewhere else, I was able to do the job and do it well until I retired here recently. But thank God for laws like this, the people that still want to work, it gives them a little respect, and you look up to them. But I appreciate this, and I'll do the best I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Council, resolution number 17, 2012 is an ordinance for the violation concerning the city of Lawrence. I spoke with the judge earlier today, and he is going to present that at either the next council meeting or the first meeting in December. And that had to do with the city of Lawrence desiring the city of Beech Grove's court to enforce their ordinance violations. So we'll move that to whenever the judge is ready to proceed, and then we'll put that on the agenda. General ordinance number 34, 2012, an ordinance pursuant to golf carts in the city of Beech Grove. I'll defer to Councilor Davidson. Councilor?
General ordinance number 34, 2012, an ordinance adding chapter 79 golf carts to the Code of Ordinances of the city of Beech Grove, Indiana. I'd like to read this by title only.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. We'll read it by title only. Proceed.
General ordinance number 34, 2012 is an ordinance adding chapter 79 golf carts to the Code of Ordinances of the city of Beech Grove, Indiana.
Floor is open for comment or questions.
I would like to add, I passed out a packet of ordinances across the state that I modeled this out of. It even has a application in there of how that was formatted.
I motion we accept general ordinance number 34, 2012 as written.
Second.
Second?
I'll second it.
Who's second?
Second it.
Okay. We'll poll individually, starting with the far right. Dave?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Dave? Harrison?
I thought we were going to discuss this.
Okay.
The only thing I want to say, because I told Anthony that I would relook at this, and I got his thing from, that he had here. I did myself a little research, and one thing I'm concerned about on this, I contacted Franklin, who has this, and they said like 50 people come forward and wanted it, and by the time they passed it, they maybe had 10 or 12. Most of those were at the college, where he's the, matter of fact, I spoke to the assistant police chief, and he said most of those were at the college, and they pretty much keep it on college campus. He says he doesn't know, and he questioned whether there are state statutes against this. Police weren't really in favor of it. But he says it's not really been a big deal. But when I questioned him and asked him, did anybody, when they pass this, of course, they have to have compliance as far as proof of financial responsibility. And I said, did anybody proceed in that manner to find out whether insurance companies would insure a golf cart on a roadway? And he said, you know, we didn't. And I said, well, I contacted the one I have, which is Foremost. They do more off-road vehicles than any insurance company in the country. I'm not saying they're the only one that'll do it, but I contacted them and asked them, would you insure a golf cart on the streets, you know, that are designated? Not highways or roadways, but streets. And they said, absolutely not. 4 states they do it in: Florida, Arizona, I think Nevada, and then maybe New Mexico. Mostly, and so I said, well, how about, you know, I've called and got golf carts insured. Most of these, even in Indiana, most of these people are in a, what do we say, a camper, retirement type camper, you know, where they take their trailers and live, and but they're not considered roadways. And I asked the underwriter Foremost, I said, would you insure that on a street? She said, no. And so my concern is how many other insurance, I mean, like if I call to get golf cart insurance, and the agent just says, you know, here it is, and they present it to the company may not know. Well, let me tell you, if they don't insure it, and that golf cart has an accident, that guy's stuck. I mean, that's my concern about it. So I would like to at least consider calling some other companies and seeing, you know, would you insure this on a roadway? Because the one I got was no, and let me tell you, if an underwriter won't see necessarily where they're using this golf cart at. I mean, if Sally Smith calls in and says, hey, I need golf cart insurance, they'll insure it like that. But there are exclusions to that. You can't operate them on a roadway. Now, again, Foremost is not the only company. So I think on first reading, I will vote yes, but please understand, I'm going to check into it, and if they say, I can't find any insurance companies that do it, you're not going to have proof of financial responsibility. That's the big concern. So I just want to get that in.
And so first reading, your vote, Dave?
I will vote yes.
Yes.
I'll go yes first.
Yes, first reading.
Okay, passes 6-0. We will hear it on second reading only on November 7th, or November 19th, I'm sorry. General Ordinance number 35, 2012, Chapter 150 of the Building Codes. This is weather lengthy also, so General Ordinance number 35, I asked that motion to read by title only.
I'll make said motion there.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
General Ordinance number 35, 2012 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 150, Building Codes of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove, Indiana. This time I'll defer to Councilor Davidson for explanation.
Thank you, Mayor. Back in March, I was assigned to a committee to further investigate when this ordinance first came out. The rates were drastically high, about 400% higher. So we formed a committee. We got our Mike back there, our building commissioner, Mike Fitzgerald. We had some local contractors from almost every trade we can think of, and that this affected anyway. And sat down, got together, and seen what was fair, what was just, what is going to, what price point are we not going to lose money as a city. After just a couple meetings, I think that we all decided that we cannot move forward without completely redoing the entire building code. And so that's what we've done here. All of the building code, I believe it's 68 pages, we went through top to bottom and made several changes with regards to wording and fee structure. We were lucky enough to have Bill Sorello, who also serves on the state plumbing board. So he was very helpful with state code and what's required on that end. It's pretty much, it's cut and dry. I think everybody, I had a public meeting about this in August, where we went over the entire building code and the fee structure itself. If anybody has any questions, feel free.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor, you were given this probably a month ago to review because of its length. So if there's questions or comments, I'll open the floor for that.
No, it's very well written, very well done.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve general.
I'm sorry, I need to amend the back page here, where it says that this ordinance shall go into effect 60 days after passage by the common council, signed by the council president, tested by the clerk treasurer, and signed by the mayor. Actually, per state statute, in Indiana Code 36-4-6-14, says that an ordinance increasing a building permit fee on a new development must be published not later than 30 days after the ordinance is adopted by the legislative body in accordance with Indiana Code 5-3-1, and delay the implementation of the fee increase for 90 days after the date the ordinance is published under subdivision 1.
Could that be published by website?
Says it should be published in accordance with 5-3-1, so I would reference that.
I motion we accept this new building code as amended, so the back page does follow state statute.
I'll second that.
I'll second
I'd just like to comment, I will get this published. If 531 calls for, we can do it on the website, I'll do it immediately. Otherwise, whatever the delay is in publication, but it should be done by the end of the week.
Great.
There was a motion to amend the ordinance and a second by Councilor Mobley. All those in favor of the amendments signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Now we'll proceed to General Ordinance number 35, 2012 on first reading only. Ask for a motion to approve.
Make said motion.
I'll second.
All those on favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. This will carry over to second reading only on November the 19th, Council. Last order of new business is a transfer of funds within the fire department. I'll defer to clerk treasurer.
This is from Chief Cheshire, the fire chief, and it says, Dan, I'm requesting to reappropriate funding in the following categories to ensure zero shortfalls before the end of the year. 2012 budget. Fire department garage and motor in the amount of $2,178.79, reappropriated to fire department repairs and maintenance. Do you want to do each one of these separate?
No, you can do them all as one.
Okay. Fire department maintenance in the amount of $4,000, reappropriated to fire department repairs and maintenance. Fire department maintenance agreement in the amount of $5,000, reappropriated to fire department equipment. And this here, there's no problem with this whatsoever, and I appreciate Rob helping me out on this because he knows where his money goes better than what I do, and I appreciate that he's looks at it, makes sure that it doesn't go into the negative.
Comments by council members? If not, ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. That concludes the new business for this evening's meeting. Now we go to comments from council members, starting at my far right. Dave?
Yeah, I had a citizen come to me concerning our bond issue, and on the Department of Public Works office and repair of the roof was a $35,000 estimate. Department of Public Works, the vehicle storage building was a $75,000 estimate, and the Parks Department maintenance building was a $22,000 estimate for a total of $132,000. And we awarded someone a contract to do this for $170,000. So do we have to cut something from somewhere else, or what's going on with this?
No.
Dave, do you have them, the bids that
No, I
was presented?
don't have the bids,
Okay,
but I can get them.
okay. I'd like to see them. I don't know, I thought that was done by emergency declaration, the roofs, so I don't know exactly where the bids came in. So, I would like to see them brought forward to the council and myself.
I don't think they bid on the emergency declarations.
They did.
I don't think that they bid.
Right.
So-
So I don't know where these came from exactly. And I'd be happy to get together with you and look and see and bring that up further.
All right.
Any other comments?
No.
John?
I would like to congratulate Ed Marks for his service to Beech Grove. I think Ed got bored with the meeting, has already taken off. But congratulations, Ed. Wonderful citizen of Beech Grove. Also, congratulations to Joe Prindle. As I said previously, I know you'll do a wonderful job. Thank you for your service. And Ron Luzon, the best word you could have used with our leaf pickup is unique. Because it's always been here, it's always been a selling point for Beech Grove, and I hope it continues. You want to form a committee, I would just love to be on that and say that you've got my vote 100% that we're going to continue that. I'll fight tooth and nail to have that continued. Other than that, the basketball is getting ready to fire up. We've got first day of practice was today for the boys. I'll do my best to keep you as informed as I can on the Beech Grove Boys High School basketball team. And that's all I have this evening.
Mention the band?
Yes, the band, I believe they fifth in the state, which is fantastic. Last year I think they got second, but anytime that you're in that top 5 tier, fantastic. Always a source of pride. And the parents that stand along Emerson and cheer the buses as they go on their way to state, good for you. Good for you. I'll stand out there one time if somebody calls me. I don't have a kid in band. Thank you. That is all I have.
Dave?
Other than congratulating Joe Grant for his retirement, nice job, Joe Prindle, and kudos to the band, and just remind everybody, get out and vote tomorrow.
Anthony?
I'd just like to thank the people that were on the building permit committee with me. Mike Fitzgerald, missed a lot of dinners at home, all the times that we met. James Senior, Butch Fenema, Bill Sorello, Eric Brown, Roger Mooney, all great guys who spent months with me and going over that the building permits and for the city. I'd also like to add, we passed a youth advisory board a couple months back, and in the process of getting that going, I'm meeting with the high school principal to see what's the best way we can advertise this, and so look for something here in the future. And if you have know any kids in the age groups of grades 9 through 12 that are interested, this is a great opportunity, especially with all that's been taken away from them. This is a good way of getting involved with the city. Also, can't leave without mentioning something about voting. Get out and vote. Get out and vote.
Thank you. Ed?
No comment tonight.
Mary?
I would like to thank everybody who has contributed with any of these studies, the resolutions, the fees for the building permits, all that. It's refreshing to see so many people working together for a common cause and having everything go so smoothly. It's really, really, really nice to serve on a council where that's a big issue. I would like to say a special thanks to Tom Hannon, the Parks Department, Street Department, to him and his group of guys who were all over at 8:30, 9 o'clock Saturday morning at the ball field at the middle school for taking care of all the weeds along the fence and all the leaves that had accumulated along the north side. Thanks very much for that. And thank you to everybody for coming. Appreciate it.
All right. The one announcement, we have a memorial service on the steps of City Hall this Saturday at 11 a.m. for Veterans Day. So we invite you to attend. It's a small service that will last about 15 minutes. With that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
Second. Meeting is adjourned at 8:20 p.m. We'll reconvene on Monday, November the 19th.